Hi everybody, welcome to day 2 of week 2 of our unit Growing Stronger. Just like in day 1, we're going to be using the text Sweet Difficult Sounds, and we're going to be using the story throughout the rest of the days as well. Before we begin, let's go over what the flow for this session will look like. So first we'll have an opening and do now activity with a see, think, and wonder exercise. Then we will have a before reading activity where we will sort different words into different concepts. Then you'll go back into the text for a second time and have some guiding and discussion questions. After that, you will do an after the reading activity where you're going to think about the different characters in the story and how they affect the main character, Nathakula. Finally, you'll have your closing and connecting activity, and teachers, for this closing and connecting, you will be choosing whichever one works best for you and for your students. And don't forget, as always, to look below to see in your notes for teachers additional tips and suggestions, and also a link to your teacher's guide for further advice on how to facilitate the session. So let's go ahead and get started. So again, we are on day 2 of week 2 of our unit Growing Stronger, and our essential question is the same. How can our emotions impact our progress? Again, progress means how we're changing and how we're growing. How can our emotions impact or affect our progress? Again, we're going to be working with this story, Sweet Difficult Sounds, for the second day in a row. And at this point, can somebody please read our lesson objectives here in the pink box? Teachers, pause this video and give students some time to read our lesson objectives. Thank you for reading our lesson objectives. We have 2 for today. The first one is to make logical inferences from the close reading of a text. So after we read the story again, we're going to think about what is happening in the text and what it means to us. Our second lesson objective is to analyze the development of the central idea or theme in a text. So again, after we read, we're going to think about the big idea and how that's growing throughout Nathakula's story. Let's go ahead and do our opening and do now activity. So this is another see, think, and wonder exercise. As you might remember, you're going to be using this image and then thinking about what do you see, what do you think, and what do you wonder. And you can use here the sentence starters in the green box to help you begin your thought. In the image I see, I think that, and one thing I wonder is. Before you try this independently, let's do a quick example to give you an idea of what you should be aiming for. So if we have our sentence starters here could be an example of how we complete those statements. In the image, I see 2 people. So I see this person here, and I see this person here. And I think that they look happy. I'm thinking that because smile here, these people seem happy. So they look happy to me. And one thing I'm wondering is, how did they meet? I'm thinking about where I see them, and I'm wondering, how did these 2 people meet and get to know each other? So at this point, students, we're going to pause this video, and you're going to complete your own see, think, and wonder statements. Teachers, you can decide how you want students to do this, if it's in the chat or in a separate document, but students should have an opportunity to complete these statements and share with each other. So let's pause this video to complete our opening and do now, and when you come back, we'll begin the before the reading activity. Okay, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed doing your opening and do now activity. So now we're going to do the before reading. As we had said in the introduction, for the before reading, we're going to be actually sorting various words in English into 2 different concepts or ideas to see the connections there. So we'll show you exactly how to do this. So I'm going to leave presentation mode and note for teachers here that for the before reading, I've added onto my document that we saw in day 1. So here is the day 2 work. This is our before reading activity that we're about to begin, and I've created a little section for students to record their work. And in this, since I'll be modeling, I will be recording my work as well. So again, we have our 2 concepts or ideas, joy and fear, and we'll go over what those mean and what we're doing for our sort. So the idea here is that we have the words here in yellow. We can move these around, and we're going to move them to match which of these two ideas, joy or fear, we think that they best connect to. And if we need to think about what joy and fear mean exactly, these are actually links to dictionary definitions. Let's open the links and quickly review in case we are not familiar with the words joy and fear. Teachers, you can skip this section if you think that your students do know these words well. So when we think of the word joy, we have our definition below, the emotion of great happiness. So joy is the emotion of great happiness. And then we go to our word fear, and below, fear is an emotion experienced in anticipation of some specific pain or danger. It continues below, or danger. So pain or danger. So if I'm going back to my presentation, and I've now looked up the words joy and fear, I kind of had this feeling as I was reading through those that joy has, for me, feels very positive. It said the feeling of happiness, whereas fear felt very negative, kind of the pain and the danger. And I'm going to keep that in mind as I do my sort. Joy felt very positive to me. Fear felt pretty negative. And I'll do one example of the sort, and then students, you will try to do this in partnerships or in groups. So if I'm going to try to sort my words into joy and fear, I have here the word worry. When you're worried about something, you're kind of nervous about it, or you don't feel great about it. Again, it has that negative feeling for me. So I'm going to move the word worry over here by the word fear. These both feel like negative feelings to me, worry and fear. And then if I go below, I see the word excitement. Excitement to me means that you have a lot of energy, and it's a very positive type of energy. You're looking forward to something. You're excited about it, and you're happy that it's going to happen. So again, because it has that positive connection, I'm actually making a connection in my mind between excitement and joy. So I'm going to move this word here into the category for joy. Okay, students, so at this point you've had an opportunity to see the definitions of joy and of fear, and to see an example of how we might move our words in yellow to match to these ideas. Before you do this in your partnerships and your groups to complete this sort, I'm going to read each word out loud so you have an opportunity to match the sound of the word with how it is written. So we have the words excitement, love, anxious, panic, worry, amusement, happiness, doubtful, satisfaction, and stress. So hopefully that helped you recognize the words that we're working with. So at this point, teachers, you can pause this video, and students, you'll have an opportunity to complete the sort. When you start this video back up, we will go over how you sorted your words. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed finishing up your concept sort. So when I finished my sort, here are how I categorized the words. So related to joy, I said was excitement, happiness, amusement, satisfaction, and love. And connected to fear, I had doubtful, stress, anxious, panic, and worry. So one thing I wanted to do, and teachers, this is going to use again that document that has all of the students' work in one place. I wanted to write down the words that are connected to the different ideas. So again, with joy, I had excitement, happiness, amusement, satisfaction, and love. So I would go ahead and copy those down into this list. Excitement, happiness, amusement, satisfaction, and love. And I would do this on the other side for fear, and that way when I come back on a later session, I'll be able to see the work that I did with this sort. So teachers, if you are using a document like this, you can pause the video and allow students time to record the results of their concept sort here. Okay, welcome back. Hopefully you're able to jot down some of your work from the before reading activity. Before we go into the text, let's set the purpose and also review some of our vocabulary. So the purpose for our reading is, as we continue the story today, we will read to identify Nothakula's point of view and her feelings towards the other characters in the story. So our focus is on how Nothakula, our main character, feels towards other characters in this story. Let's quickly review our academic vocabulary. Invisible and also practice. I'm thinking back to session 1, to the day before when we learned these words. I actually created in this document a space to record what these words mean so we remember as we come back to them. Invisible means impossible or almost impossible to see. And remember that practice means something repeated or normal. And this is going to help me remember that vocabulary as we go through the different sessions. Okay, so now we've finished our before reading. We've set the purpose and gone over academic vocabulary. Teachers, you can pause this video and go ahead and do the following parts of the lesson with your students. You'll do into the text, where you have a link to a recording of the text and also the PDF version. You also have your guiding questions in the text and your discussion questions here. You'll have your after the reading activity, where you will review with the students how Nothakula feels towards other characters in the story. And finally, your closing and connecting. And again, for your closing and connecting, you can choose whichever activity is going to work best for you and your group. And we will see each other for day 3.